Hare Krishna, our great fortune once again to hear His Holiness Bhakti Vignavinashang Narsingh Swami Maharaj Ji in Sri Dham Mayapur addressing to all the Bhakti-Shastri devotees. And this is day 4 of Sri Ishopanishad course. And this is 23rd of January 2014. And this is the part 1 of the session. And today we are starting with mantra 4 of Sri Ishopanishad. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, let's begin. We will recite the Ishopanishad mantras. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate Esavashyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena chaktena bunjita makridaha kashyasiddhanam kurvane vaha karmani chichi vishakshatam samaha evam tvae nanyate tosti na karma lipyate nare surya namate loka andhena tamasarvitaha tamste pretya bhigachanti eke tatmano janaha anijade manaso javyo naina deva apnovam purvam arshad tadavato nyanate titistat tasminapo matarishva dadarati naijati tadure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasya bhayataha yastu sarvani bhutani atmani vanupashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tatona vikshagupsate yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaeva bhutvijanataha tatra ko mohakka shoka ekadvam anupashyataha saparya chakshukram akayam avranam ashnaviram shudam apapavidam kavir manisi parapur swayambur yatatat yatoratan vadadach chasvatibhya samabhaya tamaha pravishanti yevidyam upasyate Anyadevahod vishvat Anyadahora vidyaya iti tussuratiranam yena sadvichakshire Jam cha vidyam cha yas tadvedo vayam sa avidyayam rityam tirva vidyayam ritamashnate tato puya ivate tamoya o sambhutyam rata anyadevaho sambhavad anyadahura sambhavad iti sussuratiranam yena sadvichakshakshire sambhutim cha vinashyam cha yastadvedo bhayam saha vinashenam rityam tidva sambhutyam ritamashnate hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukham tatvam pusana pavano satya dharmaya dristaye Pushani Karshya Yamasurya Prajapatya Vayoharasmin samohat Yorupam Vayuranilam amritam Atedam bashmantam shariram Om kratos smara kritam smara Kratos smara kritam smara Aginai suparainai asman Vishwani deva vayunani vidvan Yuyodyashma jahoranamino Vyoistamtina muktim videma. Okay, so we were discussing the first three mantras. First of all, before the first three mantras, of course, is the invocation. We described it in the invocation that the Lord is perfect and complete, right? Everything which comes from Him is perfect and complete, and He remains perfect and complete, even though so many complete units emanate from Him. Then, what did the first mantra say? Prabhu, you can tell us?
Yes, I can tell. Ishavatyam, by the Lord, everything is known and controlled, and by that we can see the principle of Bhagavad communion.
Okay, Bhagavad communionism means what?
That everything belongs to the Lord, and we take only our set of our quota.
Yes, right. So the Lord is the proprietor, and we should take what is our quota. We shouldn't take more than what is our quota, right? We should be satisfied with what is properly, what is honestly given to us, what is honestly achieved by our endeavors. Okay, then second mantra said what? Who can tell us? Second mantra goes on to, if you follow this principle, which principle? Yeah, the Ishyavasya principle, or as Prabhu said, Bhagavata communism, which is the same as the principle of Ishyavasya. Ishya means what? The Lord, the control, okay, and Avasya means? Yeah, the proprietor, the controller. And so when we work according to the principle of Ishyavasya, then there is no what? No bondage. There's no karma. There's no reactions to the work, because we're working for the pleasure of the Lord. We were explaining there are three kinds of work. There's karma, vikarma, and akarma. So when we work in the mood of Ishyavasya, when we're working for the Lord, then it becomes akarma, or nice karma. No reactions to the work. And that's why people live a long time, because they don't have, their karma's been taken away. And then the third verse went on to say, Andantamaha pravishanti.
Don't follow the right way, the soul will kill out the soul. The soul will go to either become an animal or goes to the
Right, yes, very good. If we don't follow these principles, then we enter into the darkest regions of ignorance, and it describes, Prabhupada describes, you go into the lower species of life, or even into the hellish planets. So we waste a lot of time. The human life is lost. So was everyone clear about these three? What was the example which was given, the analogy? The human body is compared to a boat, and who is the captain? And the breeze is the instructions, the teachings of the Lord, right? Okay. So did anybody have any questions? Yes?
I have a question about the invocation.
Here it is said that so many complete units emanate from Krishna. In these complete units there is expansion, the material world, the spiritual world, and is it included the jivas, us? These complete units?
Yes, the jiva is also unit. Yeah, our bodies perfectly arranged, perfect arrangements.
Yeah, so if we emanate, I mean it's like contradiction. It says we emanate from Krishna. That means that we originate from him in one time, like a birth. But from the other end, like you said yesterday, that all these kings never, this was in Bhagavad Gita, that we all existed. It's like contradiction. From the other hand, we emanate from Krishna, and from the also we have always been there.
We always exist. Well, yes, but I don't see there's any why it's contradictory. And that we have an eternal connection with Krishna. We're coming from Krishna. We're part of Him, but at the same time, we've always been there. We've always existed as parts. We're eternal beings. Not a contradiction. That we have an eternal relationship with Him. We're from Him, coming from Him, connected to Him, but that relationship is eternal. Not that He suddenly produced us, but we're eternal beings. It's not contradictory.
It is like we've been unmanifested.
Huh?
It is like we were unmanifested in one moment in time.
Well, as spiritual sparks, as jivatmas, we're eternal beings. We've always existed. So for the soul, there is no birth nor death. So we're eternal beings. So it's not that we're suddenly created. We've always existed, but at the same time we have our connection, we have a relationship with Krishna. You have to just think. You have to just read it again and just think about it. I don't know, Prabhu.
Mark, I had a question about the Sanskrit verses. Can I ask that?
The Sanskrit verses?
Yeah, I'm just curious as to why there's no mention of the word Vishnu, Krishna, and Narayan in any of the verses.
Well, we spoke about that actually in the beginning. They're Upanishads, and they're meant for a particular class of people who don't have a deity. They don't have faith in any particular deity. But, they're coming to the transcendental platform. They're just coming out of they're tired of material life and they're making their first attempt at coming to the transcendental stage. So there's no mention of any deity. We just talk about a supreme.
So how do we know that's in relation to Krishna?
Huh?
How do we know this Ishopanishad is in relation to Krishna?
Well, it doesn't talk about Krishna. It talks about the supreme. That there is a supreme being. There's a supreme Lord. Now it's a question: who is that supreme Lord? That's something you have to go on and find out. You have to go further. You'll see again and again in these purports that Prabhupada recommends. He said, now you should read the Bhagavad Gita. And he's saying now you have to go on and read the Bhagavad Gita, and the Bhagavad Gita gives a more detailed explanation of what's in the Ishopanishad. The Ishopanishad is just the beginning, is just opening the door to transcendence. It's the first step into transcendence. So they don't immediately stress some deity on you. They talk about just the supreme, in a more vague, almost impersonal manner. It makes it easier for people to accept. And this is why Prabhupada translated this book, because there's a lot of people like that. They get put off. They don't want a deity. They're not ready for a deity. If you read the purport of text number 3, we can have a look at it. I think it's mantra 3. I was reading last night or the night before. No, it's actually mantra 2, where they're talking about working according to the Ishopanishad principle. So Prabhupada writes there, if you see towards the end of the purport, he said, but this is on page 25 of my book. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs from the end. He said, factually, no one has to do anything more than render devotional service to the Lord. However, in the lowest stages of life, one cannot immediately adopt the activities of devotional service, nor can one completely stop fruitive work. A conditioned soul is accustomed to working for sense gratification, for his own self-interest, immediately or extended. An ordinary worker works for his own sense enjoyment, and when this principle of sense enjoyment is extended to include a society, nation, or humanity in general, it assumes various attractive names such as altruism, socialism, communism, nationalism, and humanitarianism. So like this, Prabhupada goes on, then he says, but the Vedic mantras of Sri Ishopanishad is that if one actually wants to live for any of the above isms, he should make it God conscious. So like this, Prabhupada is saying not everybody is able to do devotional service. Oh, and earlier on, the paragraph before that where I was reading, in the paragraph before that, Prabhupada is saying the instructions of Sri Ishopanishad are more elaborately explained in the Bhagavad Gita, sometimes called the Gita-Upanishad, the cream of the Upanishads. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, 9 to 16, the personality of Godhead says that one cannot attain the state of nice karma or akarma without executing the prescribed duties mentioned in the Vedic literature. So, like this, Prabhupada is saying that not everybody can take up immediately devotional service. They have to do, first of all, karma yoga. The karma yoga will qualify them more for devotional service. Karma yoga means their prescribed duty in a detached manner. Right? So like this is why you don't find mention of a deity in the Ishopanishad, because people are not ready for it yet. Let them first of all, become a little detached, cultivate some understanding that there is somebody there. There is a controller. This is what's the point which is being made here in these mantras, that there is a person, there's some personality. People are not ready to hear who it is. First of all, let them understand there is a person, there is a controller, there is some proprietor there. And then later on, then they'll say, now who is that? They will want to know, who is that? That comes later. First they have to be convinced that there is a personality, there is some intelligent being behind the creation. And then they can hear about Krishna or Narayana. So not immediately. So Ishopanishad, the Upanishads, the first step into transcendence. Is it clear? Yes?
It's related to Prabhu's question. When Krishna said, I become many, how do you understand it? I become many.
When he says, I become many, well, it can be understood in many different ways. He has many different incarnations, many different forms. He has these different potencies, different energies. We'll be hearing about that today, actually, it comes up in Mantra 4, how Krishna is one, but he becomes many. Just like the sun is reflected on many's heads, but the same sun still exists as an individual. It's still the one sun, but it's reflected on the heads of everyone. So like that, Krishna can expand himself. He can appear in the hearts of every living entities. He's outside of everyone as a Virata. And he has his own abode in the spiritual world. And he's existing in the Vaikuntha planets. So he becomes many in many different ways, many different forms. He's one in the deity also. The deity we understand to be non-different from Krishna. Right? Okay, so we'll go on to mantra 4. We can chant mantra 4. Let's have a look at it. Anijad ekam manaso javyo naina deva apnovam purvamarshad tadyavacho nanate titistat tasminapo matarishva dadati. Although fixed in his abode, I think we have it on the screen here. Okay. Although fixed in his abode, the personality of Godhead is swifter than the mind and can overcome all others running. The powerful demigods cannot approach him. Although in one place he controls those who supply the air and rain, he surpasses all in excellence. So this mantra is switching from a little different from the first 3 mantras, which are related to each other. This 4th mantra is more describing the nature of the Lord, something of his qualities. Actually, we have some quotes here from Prabhupada's purport. Prabhupada says, in the Vishnu Purana, his potencies are compared to the heat and light that emanate from a fire. Although situated in one place, a fire can distribute its light and heat for some distance. Similarly, the absolute personality of Godhead, although fixed in his transcendental abode, can diffuse his different energies everywhere. So when we look at this verse, mantras 4 and 5 are a bit, they're not easy to understand. There's something like some kind of Buddhist riddle or something, You read these kind of things and the Buddhists, they're fond of this kind of thing, the sound of one hand clapping or something. I'm reminded of something like that, Anyway, what we should understand from this mantra 4, Prabhupada mentions, if you look in the purport here, he said, Prabhupada writes, this 4th mantra of Sri Ishopanishad very clearly suggests that the absolute truth is ultimately the absolute person. Otherwise, there would be no need to mention so many details in support of his personal features. So we want you to appreciate that the mantra 4 and mantra 5 are actually describing some of the transcendental features of the Lord. Now, it's mentioned here, Anijad ekam, he's fixed. I was looking for the word abode, but you don't find the word abode. It just said fixed, one, Anijad ekam, that he's fixed in one place, is fixed. So the fixed, Prabhupada expands on it for us, that he understands that if he's in one place, then he will have an abode also. Just like if you stay in one place, you'll have your room, you have your place, because you're located there. You have a home, somewhere where you sleep. You have your ashram, your greha, or your bhajan kutir, whatever. And so in the same way, the Lord also, he's one, is fixed, one, he's going to have an abode. So Prabhupada begins like that in the purport by explaining to us how if we want to understand the Lord, we have to understand Him not by our own mental powers, not by our speculation, but by mercy. By the mercy of the devotees, of the acharyas. Then they reveal the nature of the Lord to us. We cannot understand the Lord by our own attempts. And that's why Prabhupada quotes, he says, in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, that in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10 verse 2, the Lord says that not even the great rishis and the suras can know Him. What to speak of the asuras, for whom there is no question of understanding the ways of the Lord. So like this, we have to understand, if even the great sages and demigods cannot understand the Lord, then how can we understand Him? But how is it possible? That it's only possible by mercy, that the Lord, if He wants, He can reveal Himself to us. And He can do that also through His devotees. So Prabhupada writes in the first paragraph here, he quotes the Brahma Samhita, describing that the Lord has a transcendental abode called Goloka. So Prabhupada brings these things up because the devotee, he knows these things. He knows about the Lord. By the mercy of the Lord, we can understand Krishna. Krishna, we know from Nectar of Devotion, one of the qualities of devotional service, rarely achieved. Wasn't it? One of the items of pure devotional service, rarely achieved. And Prabhupada explains in the Nectar of Devotion why it's rarely achieved. Do you remember? Somebody? Yeah? Because you purchase Krishna. Yeah, Krishna becomes obliged to that devotee. Yeah. So, how can we know Krishna then? How can we achieve it if it's so rare? How can we hope to get devotional service? Yeah, we need the mercy of the devotees. That the devotees are more merciful than Krishna. Krishna doesn't give mercy so easily. But the devotees are more merciful than Krishna. And they know the purpose of Krishna. And they want to give the mercy of Krishna. So we want to understand Krishna, we have to hear about Him from the devotees. So if we read that mantra again, you go back to that mantra 4, and we want to understand what are some of the personal features of the Lord which are mentioned here. What are some of His, Prabhupada says that mantra 4, there are so many details in support of His personal features. What are these personal features? Prabhu?
Can overcome all other runners.
Yeah, He can overcome him. He's a good runner. You know, you see a lot of people every morning, they go jogging, you know, they want to go jogging every morning, every evening, you know, to keep themselves fit, you know. So does it mean does Krishna have to go jogging every day to keep himself in shape? You know, so he can overcome everybody running? No. Naturally, automatically, swabhava, his natural, automatically he can do these things. He can overcome everyone running. Even though they're running, Krishna can overcome them. What else? Swifter than the mind, right. Yeah, you're not just a good runner, but he's swifter than the mind. How fast is the mind? Prabhupada said the mind, you can think of something, immediately you can be there. So Krishna is even swifter than the mind. So we can understand, he can move very fast.
Why is the feature personal, swifter than the mind? Why we call it personal?
Well, we're talking about somebody moving. Generally, something moves. It doesn't move on its own. It has to be some personality, something there involved. Something's going to move. You know, if this computer will sit here forever unless some person comes along, takes it. So something's moving. We're talking about motion. There has to be some person there involved. We're talking about personalities, because otherwise, why is it moving? It's not dead. That's the point. There's life there. Yeah?
It is also that he controls.
He controls? What does he control?
Those who supply the air and wind.
Yeah, he controls other people who are controllers. They are controlling things like the wind, the air and the rain, or whatever. What does it say? The air and the rain. But he controls them. So we want to understand his supremacy, his exalted position, how great this personality is above all others, that nobody can overcome him. He surpasses all in excellence. So like this, Prabhupada says, these are all personal features. The Ishopanishad is pointing out that this absolute truth, remember Om, the absolute truth is a person. He wants us to understand that this absolute truth is not impersonal. It's not only impersonal, but there's a personality there also behind it. Prabhupada is writing these purports for people who are inclined to think more impersonally. People who read the Vedas, they don't have faith in any deity. They don't believe in any God, personality. But they want the Vedas. They'll read the Vedas. They like the idea of Brahman. Like Einstein. We were talking Einstein. He liked the Vedas. He liked the idea of Brahman. He didn't like the thought of a God, person. No. So this Ishopanishad is actually meant for these kind of people to open their eyes, to understand that there is a personality there behind the creation. Okay, so Prabhupada, he explains there the personal features. And then he talks also about initiative. In the second last paragraph of the purport, he says, every part and parcel of the complete whole is endowed with some particular energy to act according to the Lord's will. When the part and parcel living entity forgets his particular activities under the Lord's will, he is considered to be in Maya, illusion. Thus, from the very beginning, Sri Ishopanishad warns us to be very careful to play the part designated for us by the Lord. This does not mean that the individual soul has no initiative of his own, because he is part and parcel of the Lord. He must partake of the initiative of the Lord as well. A person properly utilizes his initiative or active nature with intelligence, understanding that everything is the Lord's potency. He can revive his original consciousness, which was lost due to association with Maya, the external energy. So Srila Prabhupada is speaking how we still have our initiative. It's not that we're totally under the subjugation and control of the Lord, But He gives us our independence. He gives us the free will, the ability to think how to properly act in the service of the Supreme Lord. So it's not mechanical. That's the point, that we do have our own initiative to use in the service of the Lord. We all have to think how to serve Krishna. What service can I do for the Lord? We should be thinking how to expand the Sankirtan movement, how to please Krishna and the spiritual teachers. What service could I take up which will bring some pleasure to the devotees? This is using our initiative for the service of the Lord. Sometimes you have to think also just how to help your family to become more Krishna conscious. Just like Prabhu you come from France, and you come and live in Mayapur, you bring your children here, you think it will be good for their Krishna consciousness. So this, okay, that's using your initiative in the service of Krishna. So we have that initiative, we have to learn how to use it. But at the same time we have free will. We can use the initiative, we could use that same initiative for sense gratification, to be independent of Krishna. Okay, so mantra 4 is explaining these personal features. We'll go on and see what mantra 5. Mantra 5 was describing, again, similar things about the nature of the Lord. Tadejati tadnaijati taddure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvashasya bhayataha. The Supreme Lord walks, and He does not walk. He's far away, He's very near as well. He's within everything, He's outside of everything. They're very confusing. This is what people like. Oh, this sounds good. Oh, I like this. Yeah. Sounds very open. You can make the Lord as you like it. He's far away, but he's far away. Why is He far away? How is He far away? No? Where is He? In Goloka, right? Is Goloka near? No, very far away, right? You have to go beyond the material world. You have to go right through all the material world to go into Goloka. It's a long way. It's very far away, but He's very near. And how is He very near? As Paramatma, yeah, He's in the heart of every living entity. He's not only in the heart, He's in every atom. So He's very near as well. He walks, and He does not walk. We heard He was running, He could overcome all others running. Now it says He doesn't walk. He walks and He doesn't walk. He's far away, He's near, He's within everything, He's outside of everything. So, Prabhupada, we will see, Prabhupada explain. He's far away, He's very near as well. And at the same time, Antike, very near. Just like Krishna is standing here, one has to understand, very near, He has kindly come to you. Near, so near that you can touch His lotus feet. You can offer Him some foodstuffs. You can decorate Him. He's agreeing, yes, I will accept. So we can see in the picture the deity there, and Prabhupada is describing here how we worship the deity, that the Lord comes and we can serve Him, we can offer foodstuffs, we can touch His feet. How does He accept? This is called Durastam. Durastam. Very, very far away. At the same time, Antike. Immediately, provided you know the means. If you know, then you can see. That is God's power. He can remain far, far away, but He can immediately be approachable. He is approachable by the devotees. So, Krishna says, of course, similar things in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, I am never manifest to the foolish and the unintelligent, right? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I'm never manifest to those foolish and unintelligent people. For them I am covered by my eternal creative potency. So it's far away for these people. But for the devotees, he's very near. Krishna he enjoys loving relationships with his devotees. He says, Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priya yeba janti tu mam bhakta mai te teshu chapyam. Krishna said, I'm equal to everyone. But whoever renders service to me, then he is very dear to me, and he is with me, and I am with him. So Krishna has intimate relationships with his devotees. For his devotees, Krishna says, Yoga kshemam ahamyaham. I carry what they lack. I preserve what they have. Krishna doesn't do that for everyone, but he does it for his devotees. So Krishna has special relationships with his devotees. So the Lord can be very far away. Materialistic people, they may think, okay, if there's a God, God is far, he's away, far away, he's not here. No, he's a long way. God is a long way. Why you speak of God? He's away, far away, But for the devotee, they see God very near. Just like Prahlad, when his father with Hiranyakashipu was asking Prahlad, where is this God? Because Hiranyakashipu had been looking everywhere. He wanted to kill Vishnu because Vishnu had killed his brother. So he was looking everywhere. He couldn't find him. So he thought Vishnu is hiding himself. So he was asking Prahlad, where is he? Where is this? And for Prahlad, and his father was saying, is he in here? And Prahlad said, yeah, he's there also. Because Prahlad is Mahabhagavat devotee. So he can see God everywhere in everything. So he said he's also in that pillar. And indeed Lord Nrsingadev appeared from the pillar. So for Prahlad, he could see the Lord very near. But the father, Hiranyakashipu, he wasn't thinking the Lord is so near. So the demons, they don't think the Lord is near, but he's there. So tad-dure tad-vantike. He's far away, but he's very near as well. What makes the difference? Consciousness, yeah. Somebody wants to serve as a devotee, and somebody else is forced to serve. Prabhupada gives the example. Just like there are people in the jail. Now they're also serving the government. The government have got them in the jail. They've got them doing some work, some kind of work. They're also working for the government. But they're it's punishment work. And ordinary people, they're working nicely. Prabhupada explains, he said, just like in this material world, he said, sometimes we are kicked and slapped and punched by the material energy. We're being beaten by the material energy. But we're thinking, oh, very nice. We're enjoying the kicks of Maya. We're thinking, this is enjoyment. And so the same way the people in the prison, they're thinking, we're working, the enjoyment. And so for the devotee, the Lord is very near, but for the non-devotee, he's very far away. They cannot understand. Krishna doesn't reveal himself to everyone, only to his devotees. So this is tad-dure tad-vantike, that he can be far away, but he can be very near as well. How long does it take him to come?
Faster than the speed of the light.
Yeah, faster than when Dhruva Maharaj was meditating in the forest. The Lord came on the back of Garuda. Immediately, when Dhruva was ready, after he'd done his tapasya after 6 months, when he was ready, then immediately the Lord came. And similarly, Gajendra he was fighting with the crocodile. Nobody was helping. And the demigods were watching. They were not helping. And then Gajendra offered prayers to the Lord. And the demigods were shocked. The Supreme Lord immediately came and he cut the throat of that crocodile and freed Gajendra. And the demigods were shocked. That they were thinking Gajendra should pray to us, but Gajendra prayed to the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord, immediately he could come and save Gajendra. Doesn't take any time. So like that, Krishna is far away, but he is very near as well. Prabhupada explains these contradictions, that he walks, he does not walk. In one verse in the Vedas it says, everywhere are his arms and legs. But then there's another verse in the Vedas that says he has no arms and legs. Contradiction. And here you get directly contradiction. That he walks, he does not walk, he's far away, he's very near as well. Prabhupada said, the contradictions given here prove the inconceivable potency of the Lord. He walks and he does not walk. Ordinarily, if someone can walk, it is illogical to say he cannot walk. But in reference to God, such a contradiction simply serves to indicate his inconceivable power. Very important for people coming to the transcendental path, coming into transcendence, coming out of Maya, taking up a spiritual path. It's very important for them to understand that there is such a thing as inconceivable power. What is called in Sanskrit as achintya shakti. Inconceivable power. And you hear this all the time, preaching in Buddhist countries. Sometimes I would go to hear some of the Buddhist lectures, and I would always hear them talk about this bukusai, this in Chinese, bukusai means inconceivable. It's very important for people taking up a spiritual path that they actually are convinced that there are such things as inconceivable power. And to make this clear to us, that's why these Vedic mantras are composed in this way, with contradictions, to understand that it's inconceivable. Because we are conditioned souls, we have the tendency to want to understand everything by our own limited mind, our own limited thinking, our own senses. But remember, in the very first day we spoke about the defects of the conditioned soul. Right? Imperfect senses, subject to illusion, make mistakes, propensity to cheat. How can we depend on our own perfect judgment? So we have to understand, pressing on us, that we want to understand the supreme, the absolute truth. We have to understand there are such things as inconceivable power. Oh, what's this? No power? Give some examples. What story does Prabhupada tell to understand the inconceivable power? A good story often told. Huh? The frog in the well thinking, how big is the ocean? Okay, that's one. There's another one. What about the Brahmin and the cobbler? Huh? Yeah. Threading the elephant through the eye of a needle. What was Lord Narayan doing? Threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. And the Brahmana says, what? Oh, come on, impossible. The Brahmana, he cannot believe that that Narada Muni had seen Lord Narayan threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. No way, come on, don't waste my time. Go and take your medicine or something, You see. But that cobbler, he understood, oh, how wonderful Lord Narayan is. He had some faith that there's inconceivable powers, right? The cobbler thought, oh, how wonderful Lord Narayan is. He's threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. And then when they asked him, what? You're not surprised? And the cobbler says, no, why I should be surprised? Because from a little seed, that big tree has grown. So if from one tiny seed he can produce such a big tree, why he cannot bring an elephant through the eye of a needle? So there are so many examples in the world of inconceivable potency, inconceivable powers. And we should understand that the origin of all these inconceivable powers is the Supreme Lord. And He possesses unlimited inconceivable powers. Right? The sun, inconceivable, how it can give so much heat and light, and never exhausted.
Krishna expanded as the coward was. Brahma was totally...
Yeah! Brahma. Jayapataka Swami describes, he said it was like putting the light bulb of the wrong voltage into the socket, immediately put the bulb, his brain just blew, It's just too much to try to understand these powers, the potencies, the unlimited potencies of the Supreme. Any other examples of the inconceivable power, Prabhu? Lifting Govardhan Hill, yeah. Good.
In Krishna book, it explains Dwarka that it's so big, Dwarka, there is so many things, that in limited population, there's so many populations, but in the little city, Prabhupada explained, actually Krishna, if he wants, can possess an entire population of the earth on the point of the middle, if he wants. So we cannot imagine what he can do.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Krishna was living in Dwarka. He had 16,108 queens, and they each had 10 sons, and their sons were all married, and they had so many children. There were hundreds and thousands or millions of people all living there in Dwarka. But Dwarka itself, just one island, doesn't seem like a big place. Inconceivable powers, inconceivable opulences. So these contradictions are for this purpose, to help us to understand, to convince us that there are such inconceivable potencies. When we want to understand the Supreme, it also reminds us, don't rely on your own judgment, on your own powers of mental speculation. But we have to understand the Lord by mercy, by hearing. The descending process. Remember, we said descending process is the way in which we actually understand everything. By hearing from the proper authority. And that point comes out again and again. Okay. Mantra 5 also talks about something quite important here. Prabhupada mentions about how the Lord is Saguna and Nirguna. If you look in your copy of the book, and within the purport you'll see Mantra 5. In this connection, two words. In this connection, two words. The revealed scriptures often apply to the Lord. Saguna, meaning with qualities, and Nirguna, meaning without qualities. Do you remember this from Bhagavad Gita? When you studied Bhagavad Gita, did you discuss this? Saguna and Nirguna? Which chapter in the Bhagavad Gita do you find this? Huh? There's an example given about the mailbox. The mailbox. To send the mail. Of course, nowadays we don't have these things, not so common now, everybody doing email. But snail mail, right? Snail mail. If you have snail mail, you have to put the mail in the post box. And if it's an authorized post box, then your mail will be delivered. So in the same way, the deity has to be authorized. This is in chapter 12 of the Bhagavad Gita, text number 5. That verse, Klesho Digataras Teshyam Avyakta Sakta Chetasam. Is it text number 5? Yeah? So there's a big purport there, and Prabhupada does speak about this. He gives the example about the post boxes, and he speaks about Saguna and Nirguna Brahman. Now, we were talking how the Lord, one of the ways in which the Lord appears or expands himself is in the deity form. Now, is the deity Saguna or Nirguna? The deity worship is Saguna, yes. It's made with material elements. It has qualities. But at the same time, it's also Nirguna. Prabhupada explains here. The material energy works according to his direction. Therefore, he can use that energy for his purposes without ever being influenced by any of the qualities of that energy. Yeah, the material energy is Krishna's energy. He's not affected by it. It's not material to Krishna. Even for the devotee, for the pure devotee, there is no such thing as material energy. He sees everything as spiritual. We see material because we can be affected by the material energy. We see the distinction. But on the higher platform, when we're fully Krishna conscious, then we see everything as spiritual. So you want to be familiar with these terms, talking about Saguna and Nirguna. Prabhupada explains that Krishna is both Saguna and Nirguna. He has qualities, but at the same time, these qualities are transcendental. His qualities are not like our qualities. He has qualities, we have qualities, but our qualities are not like him. His qualities are all pure and transcendental. He's not influenced by the qualities. So, in this way, Prabhupada is describing to us how Krishna controls all these different energies. We can create a form, but that form, this table is material, but the material table can be made also spiritual by using it for Krishna service. So the deity, the form of the deity also made from material elements, made from stone or made from brass, it can become spiritual. How? How does Krishna enter into the deity? Huh? How does it happen? That form which is made of the Lord, how does it become a deity?
Don't you ask Krishna to come into it?
Yeah, who has to ask Krishna? Yeah, the pure devotee. You have to ask the acharya, the devotee, and at their request, then Krishna enters into the deity. Yeah. If you watch a deity installation, you will see how the deities are installed. Their eyes are closed, and then the pure devotee will unopen their eyes, and they will invite Krishna to appear in the deity. So, at the request of his devotees, we said Krishna is under the control of his devotees, right? The pure devotees, they can invite Krishna to appear. Krishna can make material things spiritual because he's the master. It's his energy. If he wants something material to be spiritualized, he can do it. And if he wants something spiritual to become material, he can do it.
If someone is using this table for Krishna and the other person uses it not for Krishna, is the table still spiritual?
No.
In both situations?
No.
So it's up to our consciousness, basically.
Yeah. Devotee knows the art of turning matter into spirit. There was a program at the college one year. The devotees were doing a program. They wanted to attract a lot of people to come. So they put up big notices everywhere. Come and see matter made into spirit. Matter transformed. And it attracted a lot of people. A big crowd came, you know. So the devotees they had an altar, and they brought in a big plate they had prepared a big feast. They put it on the altar, they closed the curtains, they rang the bell, did the offering, opened the curtain and said, now it's all spiritual. Yeah, we know the art, how to make matter into spirit, right? This computer appears material, the microphone appears material, but we're spiritualizing them by using them in the service of Krishna.
It's spiritual, but at the same time, it's still higher energy. It's still higher energy.
It's still apara prakriti. Yes, you can say that. It's apara prakriti, but we're using it in the service of Krishna. So when it's being used in the service of Krishna, then it becomes the para prakriti for some time at least. Yes, it's matter. What about peanut butter? Is peanut butter, is it Tatastha Shakti or Bahiranga Shakti or Antaranga Shakti?
Definitely spiritual.
Huh?
Peanut butter is definitely spiritual.
Is it, what is it though? Is it, you're saying it's Antaranga Shakti, huh? Even if it's not offered, huh? Chocolate, what? Definitely spiritual, yeah?
So what is the difference, for example, if someone eats prasadam without the consciousness that it is spiritual, and someone uses the table which has been used, in Krishna service, but he's not using it in Krishna service anymore? Is there a difference? So is the person who eats prasadam without consciousness that it is prasadam, that this, it's not prasadam?
Yeah, it's not going to be as powerful, definitely. If you eat the prasadam with not knowing that it is prasadam, not appreciating it's prasadam, it's not going to be quite as powerful as somebody else who is actually honoring the prasadam, meditating on Krishna, understanding this is the remnants of Krishna. That is why we're supposed to recite the prayer before we take prasadam. That's why we say that Bhaktivinoda Thakur composed that prayer, Sarayara Vajaja, just so that we could purify our consciousness in taking prasadam and honoring the prasadam. It's important for us before we take prasadam that we have that prayerful mood and pray that we can appreciate that this is Krishna's remnants and that we're very fortunate to be taking this, to be honoring this, to give up our material conception. Then it will have a greater effect. Just as there are qualities in chanting the holy name, there are qualities in honoring prasadam. Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Instruction, you must have seen in the introduction, everything depends on the attitude of the disciple. The attitude in which we do everything. What is our attitude in chanting? What is our attitude in honoring prasadam? That will affect, that will influence how much we are benefited, how much we are purified by these activities.
Maharaj, it is said in the book Samadhi in Vrindavan, that everything that saintly person touched actually has the same power as he, but this element doesn't reveal their power because of the attitude of the ones who approach them. So sometimes we can see the samadhi, but we can see material stuff, we cannot see the person. But someone who is humble, actually, he can have a relationship with the person who is in that samadhi. And even the clothes, the elements of food, any thing actually, and the person touches.
Yes, okay, very nice. Yeah. Okay. So we want to bring to your attention these two terms, saguna and nirguna. I recommend you also to read Bhagavad Gita chapter 12 and look over that example of the post box and appreciate how Krishna is both saguna and nirguna, that he has qualities. He does have quality, of course, but his qualities are all transcendental. And he's also nirguna, he's without qualities. He has no material qualities. Okay, we'll go on to Mantra 6. Mantra 6 is describing the vision of a Maha-Bhagavat. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani vanupashyate sarva bhutishu chatmanam tato na vikyagupsate. He who sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his parts and parcels, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything, nor any being. So then Prabhupada said, this is the Mahabhagavat, great devotee, and then Prabhupada begins in the purport, he starts speaking about different levels of devotees. And he talks about the Kanista, and the Madhyam, and the Uttama. You've studied this before, right? Kanista, Madhyam, and Uttama, these divisions are based on what?
Faith.
One on faith, and another on? No.
Where they see Krishna? Where they see Krishna?
No. Knowledge, yeah. Faith and knowledge, these two things. One person has very strong faith. On the Kanista is weak faith. Madhyam is, quite strong faith, but maybe not so. But the Uttama, he's got complete faith. And somebody else has got little knowledge, a little more knowledge. So depending on one's knowledge and faith, one is distinguished as Kanista, Madhyam, Uttama. And Prabhupada talks about these different levels of devotees in different ways, in different places. Now sometimes there's a tendency among devotees to think, well, I'm just a new devotee, so I'm just a Kanista. We think, well, I should just be a Kanista first. First you become a Kanista, and then gradually become a Madhyam. We may be thinking like that. But actually that's not the process. Everyone's supposed to become a preacher, Madhyam, devotee. Everyone's supposed to be at the intermediate level. One devotee, Romapada Swami, he's a very senior man in ISKCON. He's one of the leading GBCs. He was the chairman of the GBC a year or two ago. And he describes when he first became a devotee. He said he drove his car a few days to come to the temple. He'd been driving for a few days. He got to the Boston temple. He said it was just after the Sunday feast. And I think all the prasadam was finished, but they asked him, could you help us clean the pots? So he got shown in the pot room, and he was washing the pots, a big stack of pots, Sunday feast, they'd have a big feast, and all these pots were there. So, he was washing the pots, and he was doing that, he was washing the pot. He was in that pot room for several days. Day after day, he was in there washing the pots. He was there for about 2 weeks, washing pots. And then one day they said to him, hey, would you want to come for Harinam? We're going on Sankirtan. Why don't you come with us? And so immediately gave him a book bag, and he was out the door, and he was on Sankirtan preaching. He spent 2 weeks washing pots, and then he was ready to go out preaching. Another devotee, somebody I know quite well, Kripa Mayaprabhu from London, he can tell you, he came to the temple, moved in the temple. The next day, he went in the van, went out and traveling Sankirtan, book distribution. You know, so I mean, these are very typical examples of devotees coming to the Krishna consciousness movement. It's a little different nowadays. Like here in Mayapur, they have a Bhakti program, training program, things like that. They do try to qualify people a little bit more before they go out and preach. But we want you to understand that it's not that we first become kanista and then gradually become madhyam. We should all aspire to come to this level of the madhyam devotee, the intermediate devotee, the preaching devotee. Of course, at each level, it's not pure 100% kanista, 100% madhyam, just like the modes of nature. It's not that you're 100% mode of ignorance, but there's some goodness, there's some passion mixed in as well. So similarly, with the kanista devotee, he may be kanista, but he has some uttama tendency, he has some madhyam tendency within these different levels. It's mixed up. Now they're all devotees, and we should respect and honor everyone. We shouldn't look down on someone, oh, this guy, he's just a kanista, materialistic devotee. No, actually, kanista is also an advanced personality. He's also a devotee. He's taken up, the process. He may not have a lot of realization, but he's on the path. And with the right association, he'll come to the higher platform. So this is important for us to appreciate. What is the mood of the kanista devotee? Who could describe one to me? What are some kanista tendencies among devotees? Yeah, they only see Krishna in the temple room. Meaning, they don't see Krishna? Yeah, they don't see Krishna in the heart of all the living entities. Romapada Swami was describing also, I was hearing his class one day, he was saying there was one man would come to the temple in Boston, and they'd be sitting having Bhagavatam class, and all the devotees would be sitting listening and everything, and then this one man, some Indian or something, comes walking in, and he just walks right through all the devotees, and goes up to the deities, and he starts, ringing the bell and offering obeisances and chanting mantras and prayers, The devotees are trying to have Bhagavatam class, There's this man, he's doing this puja of the deity, He doesn't have any interest to hear the class or to see what's going on. He just only wants to go to the deity and, do some worship of the deity. That's kind of kanista, kanista attitude. Kanista will often be critical of devotees and of their preaching attempts. They'll find fault. Oh, I don't think these people should be going out there selling books. They're always going out after money. They're always trying to sell their books to people. And people, sometimes that is also a little bit of a kanista tendency, that we will find fault with devotees who are trying to preach and trying to distribute Krishna consciousness. Just like one devotee told Prabhupada, I was listening, one devotee who was a very good book distributor for many years, he was telling Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, one of the criticisms we get is that people say they only see us when we go to distribute books, that they don't see us any other time. They only see us when we're out there selling books. And Prabhupada said to the devotee, he said, well, that's not fair. He said, you should tell them that they can come and live with us. Let them come and live with us. For 3 days they can come and see how we live. We're inviting them. Let them come. So Prabhupada didn't accept these kind of criticisms. So Madhyam devotee, he will be different from the Kanista, because the Madhyam devotee will see distinction. He makes distinction, right? Different from the Uttama, different from the Kanista. The nature of the Madhyam is he offers his worship to the Supreme Lord. He also worships a deity. He sees the Lord in the temple and he offers his worship to the deity. But he also associates with devotees. He likes to be with the devotees and talk about Krishna. A devotee takes pleasure in discussing topics of Krishna with other devotees. He will give mercy to the innocent. Some new person comes, somebody wants to ask some question, we will spend time with them, talk to them. When people come and visit Mayapur, we want to also speak to them and talk to them, welcome them. We're so glad very nice of you to come and visit. And people often want to inquire. It's our duty. I remember as a new devotee, they were always telling me, speak to the guests. Speak to the guests. I really didn't want to speak to guests, actually. But they would always tell me, no, you have to speak to the guests. I was like trained that this is what you have to do, Even though I didn't like to speak to these people, I thought they are new people, I don't want to speak to them, But he said, no, you have to speak to them. It is Vaishnava etiquette to welcome guests, to take care of them. If you go to Chaupati, you walk in the Chaupati temple, immediately they're there serving you. Welcome, how can we serve you? And everything, very happy. So like that, Madhyam will give mercy to the innocent, and at the same time he will avoid the atheists and the blasphemers, right? Why? Why should we avoid atheists and blasphemers?
Because they make offenses.
Yes. Yeah, if we go and try to talk to them, they'll just become more offensive. And that won't be good for them, and won't be good for us either. So we avoid the atheists and blasphemers. Somebody doesn't want to hear, okay, go away, go and find somebody else to talk to. So this is the preaching devotee, means to make distinction, to distinguish between who is the atheist and who is the blasphemer and who is the innocent. We have to learn how to associate. Nectar of instruction, you must have studied that. How to associate, how to distinguish between different devotees. Right? Nectar of instruction, it says, mentally honor a devotee who is engaged in chanting the holy name. Offer our obeisances to a devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation and is engaged in worshipping the deity, and associate with and faithfully serve that devotee who is fixed in undeviating devotional service and is freed of the propensity to criticize others. In this way you distinguish between different devotees. It's not wrong. We're not uttamas. Don't try to be a uttama adhikari. Prabhupada mentions that actually. Those who imitate an uttama adhikari by flaunting a sense of oneness or fellowship, but who behave on the bodily platform, are actually false philanthropists. Imitation, Prabhupada often spoke about this. Be ourselves. We have to recognize what level we're on in Krishna consciousness. We're not uttama adhikaris. Just try to be a preacher. Try to be a madhyam devotee. Flaunting a sense of oneness. Oh, my dear brother, how are you? This making a show, flaunting that we're all one. It's all, why are you creating disharmony in our world of perfect harmony and oneness here? They speak about oneness, but they have no real conception of oneness. Their oneness is on the bodily platform, right? We want to be one. So devotees' oneness is different from the Mayavadi oneness, right? What is the Mayavadi oneness? Everyone's God. Yeah. I'm God. You're God. If I'm God, we can do what we like. We don't have anybody to answer to, right? There are no laws for us because we're all God. So it means we can do whatever we like. If it feels good, do it. And this is the problem with their oneness. And so it's simply illusory.
But do they actually do it as well? Do whatever they want?
Yeah, many of them do. New Age people do, yeah.
What about the actual Mayavadis? Is it their philosophy that you're God, I God, let's do whatever we want? Is that what they preach?
Well, some of them do preach, yeah. Some of them do preach like that. There were people like that. There was that Osho, he was preaching like that.
So it's an example of Swami Vivekananda saying, I am Brahman, the fish is Brahman, so that Brahman is entering into my stomach, so one Brahman is entering into another Brahman. So he was advocating meat eating in the name of oneness, which is what he was asking.
Yeah, they have sannyasis, they can be meat eaters. They say no, the people told me they're vegetarian, but many places are not. Because I know many places they have chicken farms and piggeries, and they do eat meat. Vivekananda, Ramakrishna, these people, they're very low-class people. Prabhupada was highly critical of them. But you have to be careful how you preach about them, because they have the respect of the common people. They have a lot. For example, in Calcutta, Ramakrishna Mission is quite respectable. They have schools. Many people, young boys, went to their school. When they grow up, they naturally have some respect for Ramakrishna Mission because they were educated in their school. And I think Ramakrishna Mission are very good. They have a good hospital, they welfare programs, so people respect. They respect all this. So you have to be careful how you criticize them. Prabhupada would never criticize a person. He would ask, what is their philosophy? And then he would take it apart. Okay, what are they teaching? What is their teaching? And then he would examine that. And so what do they teach? They teach yatamata tatapata. All the paths lead to the same goal. No, this is nonsense. We never see this anywhere. Where is the logic behind that statement? And then they have, daridra, service to the poor man is service to God. Oh, God has become a poor man? God is only in the poor man? So many things, so many wrong things are there in their teaching.
Where did they take this yatamata thing?
Huh?
Where did they take this yatamata thing?
Yeah. Yes, in Prabhupada's purports you can. Yeah, it's their own phrase, but huh?
It's their own.
Yeah, it's their own. Yeah, it's their own. They coined their own phrase. They've invented these things themselves. It's not in any scripture, nowhere. It's just their own saying. We say yanti deva yata devan pitrin yanti pitrin vitaha. You worship the demigods, you go there. You worship the pitris, you go there. You worship Krishna, you can go to him. It's not all the same. You don't see in any scripture it says all paths lead to the same goal. So, but don't criticize the person. That's the point. If you criticize the person, you get in big problems. you get trouble. But ask, what are they teaching? And then you can expose. Then you can challenge.
Can you say, is there something like that all souls will eventually come back to Krishna? Is there something like that? Can you say that everyone will eventually come back to Krishna?
I've never seen it anywhere. Rather, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, they enter into hell and damnation and remain there forever.
That sounds like Christianity.
Well, they enter in these lower species of life, and they just take birth in different species. It takes a very, very long time before they come back to the human life. We were talking about Atmaha, right? Killer of the soul. Prabhupada said people are they're killing themselves by not making proper use of the human form of life. And the problem is they will lose the human form of life, and they will have to take birth in the lower species, and it will take a very long time before they come back to the human form of life. Yeah, we don't say eternally, but it's so long, it will be a very long time before they come back again to the human life. So this is Atmaha, killer of the soul. We take a break, 12 o'clock, Gayatri, Hare Krishna. Okay, so we'll just review what we've been speaking about this morning. We said text 4, mantras 4 and 5 describe the inconceivable qualities, inconceivable potencies of the Supreme Lord, describing them in contradictory ways, right? The contradictions are a manner of expressing the inconceivable power of the Supreme Lord. Then mantras 6 and 7 go on to describe about great devotees, a Mahabhagavat devotee, and how he sees the world. What is the vision of this great devotee? How he sees the Lord and how he sees everything in relation to the Lord. So like this, we were speaking about the Uttama Adhikari. Prabhupada is saying that just making a show of this oneness or fellowship, but who behave, I've got spelling there, but who behave on the bodily platform are actually false philanthropists. Okay, so that's mantra. That's mantra 6, right?
Yes.
So mantra 6 also, Prabhupada mentions the use of the significance of this word, Atmani evanupashyati, upashyati, meaning to see, it is clearly mentioned in the 6th mantra that one should observe or systematically see. This means that one must follow the previous acharya, the prescribed teacher. Anupashyati is the exact Sanskrit word used in this connection. Anu means to follow, and pashyati means to observe. Thus the word anupashyati means that one should not see things as he does with the naked eye, but should follow the previous acharya. Yeah, we often make this point about not depending on our own senses, our own just seeing. People often say, seeing is believing. But we don't say that. The dog, he sees everything with his nose. And conditioned so, they depend on their eyes. The sciences, the empirical sciences, they give a lot of strength, a lot of emphasis on seeing and observation. But for devotees, how do we get knowledge? We say we have to hear it. It's coming down by, just like this word anupashyati. We observe, we hear, we follow the previous acharyas. Right? Mahajana yena gata sapanta. Follow in the footsteps of the Mahajans. That is the proper process. So the same point is made here in the Vedic mantra. Anupashyati. Atmani eva anupashyati. We see everything through the teacher, the instructions of the teachers, the previous teachers. And then you can see at the end of the last 2 paragraphs, Prabhupada is writing in mantra 6. He's talking about Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. And he said, because we have to hear, we have to get knowledge. Where are we going to get it from? From the acharyas. And how are we going to hear from them? From their books, from their writings. And where do they write? They comment on the scriptures. They've commented on Bhagavad Gita. We hear from Srila Vyasadeva. Srila Vyasadeva has given us Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the commentary on Vedanta Sutra. And then Prabhupada, like that, you can see many places in this book, Prabhupada is talking, actually he's writing, he's encouraging people Go on. Don't just read this one book. You have to read the Bhagavad Gita. You get more. And go on from Bhagavad Gita. Read the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada is helping us to do our book distribution from these purports. He's leading people. If you study this book, after studying this book, I have to get the Bhagavad Gita. No, I have to get a set of Bhagavatam. Okay? So this is how it should be. Yeah. Okay, one book's enough. No, read the book. What's the book say? The book says you have to read the Bhagavad Gita. You have to read Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Prabhupada also talks about how different politicians and so on, that these people are not actually Uttama Adhikari. The last paragraph, according to Bhagavad Gita, only one who is already on the liberated platform, Brahmabhuta, can become an Uttama Adhikari devotee and see every living being as his own brother. This vision cannot be held by a politician who are always after some material gain. One who imitates the symptoms of an Uttama Adhikari may serve another's outward body for the purpose of fame or material reward, but he does not serve the spirit soul. Such imitator can have no information of the spiritual world. The Uttama Adhikari sees the spirit soul within the material body and serves him as a spirit. Thus the material aspect is automatically served. So Prabhupada is pointing out the defect. People speak of brotherhood, oneness, but actually they're still on the bodily platform. My brother African, my brother Indian, my brother man. This is all bodily conception of life. So it said must come to Brahma Bhuta, to the stage of knowing that we're not the body, that we're Brahman. Then you can progress. Okay, another point from Mantra 7, this idea of oneness. Ekatvam anupashyata. Well, that's going into Mantra 7, right? We can chant Mantra 7. Chant the Sanskrit. Okay. One who always sees all living beings as spiritual sparks, in quality one with the Lord, becomes the true knower of things. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? Moha and shoka, illusion and anxiety. Nobody likes these things, illusion and anxiety. So, how we can get rid of it? We have to come to this stage. See all living beings as spiritual sparks, in quality one with the Lord, becomes the true knower of things. So it's ekatvam anupashyataha. Ekatvam, oneness. Oh, that sounds nice. The oneness. We like this idea of oneness. It's all one. I knew it's all one, right? So people often they're very, they think, yeah, we like the oneness. I was telling Padmanabhan Prabhu there's a oneness university and people are all attracted to it. Many people from China are coming to India to visit this oneness university and they're learning the principle of oneness. And it's all nonsense, it's all bogus. Where is the oneness? There is no oneness anywhere. Oneness is only in quality, not in quantity. There's the oneness in quality, but not in quantity. Somebody is very rich and somebody is poor. Where's the oneness? Somebody is very healthy, somebody is very sick. Is that oneness? No, there's many differences. But there is a oneness in the sense that we are all servants of the Supreme Lord. The real oneness is on the spiritual platform. There's a oneness with the master and the servant, that we are one. The master also wants to serve the servant. People have no experience of that kind of relationship in the material world. They think in the material world the master exploits the servant. If there's a master, then the servants are exploited. But it's not like that in the transcendental world. On the transcendental platform, the master is the real master. He's loving, kind and caring, and he will give more than the servant will ever do for the master. So Krishna is that kind of master. If we accept the Lord as our master, then you can have real oneness. Anupashata, constantly see through authority. Important for us to appreciate these meanings of these different terms. Oneness. Prabhupada, how do we explain this oneness? What is the actual sense of oneness? Just like within the body, the hand and the different parts of the body, they have a sense of oneness. The hand is only a part of the body, but it serves the purpose of the body. The hand will take the food and put it in the mouth. If the hand goes on strike, I'm tired of putting that food in the mouth. I'm going to go on strike. What will happen? Then the body gets weak. No food. But when the hand cooperates with the body and feeds the stomach, then the stomach distributes energy to all the parts of the body. So there is cooperation within the body. When we pour water on the root, all the leaves and branches of the tree are nourished. In the same way, when we serve the Supreme Lord, all the creation is happy, everyone is happy, all the parts and parcels are happy. The real sense of oneness is there that we are all servants of the Lord. And the Lord is the servant of His devotees. Just like in a family, the family has a sense of oneness. The father and the son. The sons cooperate with the father and the family prospers. They have that cooperation, the mood that we are one. Our interest is one. So it's not that we become God, not like the Mayavadi, their sense of oneness is that we become God. But it's not like that. But it's oneness in the sense that we're all servants. There is no oneness actually in this impersonalism stated here. Ishopanishad advises, Ekat Vam Anupashyata. A devotee should see the personality of Godhead to be situated in everyone's heart. Should also see every living entity as a servant, eternal servant of the Lord. This vision is called Ekatvam, oneness. If we are simply thinking, I'm God, I'm one. I am you, you are me. We are all one. Now this is stupid, ignorant. Where is it? How am I you? Do you know my suffering? Do I know your suffering? Do we know each other's pains and pleasures? So how is it possible that I am you and you're me and we're all God? What kind of God is it that we're suffering? But there is a oneness in the interest or the desire of the Supreme Lord. Just like the hand has a duty to the body. And when it cooperates with the body, then the body is healthy, it's strong. The hand does its work, and the body is healthy, and the hand is also maintained. So in the same way, when we cooperate with the Lord in oneness, as part of His family, then we prosper, we are happy. So this is the oneness which is being spoken of. But often this oneness is misunderstood, and we're thinking the oneness to be some kind of, impersonalism, that we're all one, we're all the Brahman. Yeah, we are Brahman, but we're individuals. What does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? To say we are eternally individuals? Living entities and my parts and parts. What else does he say? Yes. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease. So we're all eternal individuals, and we're parts and parcels. Tiny parts, parcels. So we have to be connected to the Supreme. That is the oneness. Oneness in interest. The Christians often speak. Jesus said, I and the Father are one. Right? Heard that before? Yeah. The big Christian slogan. I and the Father are one. So we say, yeah, one. But doesn't mean the Son becomes the Father. The Son is still the Son and the Father is the Father. There's God the Son and God the Father. There's a difference. But they have the same interest, the interest of the family. Okay? Any question on it? Okay. Everybody clear? Okay. Although there is a relationship of master and servant, both master and servant are one because of their spiritual identity. This is also Ekatvam. The conception of Ekatvam for the Vaishnava is different from that of the Mayavadi. Mayavadi saying, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, I am God. But they think Krishna is also Brahman. They don't know Krishna is the Supreme Brahman.
How does the Mayavadi explain the variety? One is one thing, but how do they explain the variety?
They say it's all illusion. Maya, Jagat, what's it? Jagat, Mithya, Maya, Brahman, Satyam, Jagat, Mithya. Only the material world is all illusion. Variety, this is all dreaming. This is your dream. When you come out of the dream, then you'll see it's oneness, everything.
So you are saying that Brahman is in illusion. You are saying that Brahman is in illusion.
Well, that's why the Mayavadi. The Maya is superior. The Maya is more powerful. It can put us into illusion. Maya has put us, we're the Brahman, but we've fallen into illusion. Yeah. Because that's right. We also say, we're tiny parts. We fall into illusion. Tiny part. So because we're tatastha, because we're tiny, fragmental, so we fall under the illusion. We can fall into ignorance, fall into illusion. So Mayavadi's conception of oneness is different from us. We say we are one, a servant, one in service to the Supreme. We don't become God. We're always the servant. This is oneness. Mahabhagavad, great personality, sees everything in relation to the Supreme Personality of God. Right? Okay. We're going to go on mantra 8. Let's chant mantra 8. Nice mantra. Tapayajam chukram akayam arthanam ashnaviram shridam apavidam kabir manishi paripu swayambhur yathatat yato ratat vadatat shasvatibhya samavaya. Such a person must factually know. Such a person. Who's that person? The Mahabhagavad, right. He must know the greatest of all, the personality of Godhead, who is unembodied, omniscient, beyond reproach, without veins, pure and uncontaminated, the self-sufficient philosopher who has been fulfilling everyone's desire since time immemorial. Prabhupada explains, here is a description of the transcendental and eternal form of the personality of Godhead. We're hearing the different qualities of the Lord being described as seen by the Mahabhagavat devotee. And Prabhupada discusses these different qualities. We're going to look at some of them. This is most important part of this verse. No sin can pollute Krishna. There cannot be any sinful reaction. Your laws cannot restrict Krishna. Look at that picture. Is that appropriate for this comment? Huh? For you, there may be so many restrictive laws. Sometimes, less intelligent class of men, they criticize Krishna, how he enjoys the company of so many young girls. An interesting topic for the brahmachari. Apapavidam. Apapavidam meaning? Apapavidam, Prabhupada, the word for word describes it as prophylactic. Prophylactic. Meaning?
Just in case.
Huh?
Just in case. Prophylactic. It means just in case.
Means
Just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Something bad happens.
Apapavidam. Without sin. Without, the Lord is described here. Now let's see these different verses. We're looking at this one, apapavidam. Without sin. Because this is something which often comes up. People, they've heard something about Krishna, that he has many wives, or he has many affairs with the young girls, what kind of God is this? Sometimes the Buddhist people, they will say, what kind of God is this? He has affairs, he has a wife, he has a girlfriend, or, what kind of God is this? They want a God who is renowned. Okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you want to renounce? That's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Worship Lord Chaitanya. You cannot understand Krishna. First of all, that's the problem. They don't understand what are these activities. So we don't like to present these things to new devotees, actually. But Prabhupada is, because many people have already heard something about Krishna, so Prabhupada is explaining how Krishna is actually apapavidam, how he is actually without any kind of sin. Where is it mentioned now? Where is it mentioned?
It's Maharaj on page 60.
What page?
60. 60. Just like antiseptic and selective.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, okay.
Down there.
Okay, so that's just towards the end, the last paragraph there. Yeah. To confirm that the Lord is always pure and uncontaminated, Ishopanishad describes him as Shuddham and Apapavidam. He is antiseptic in the sense that even an impure thing can become purified just by touching him. The word prophylactic refers to the power of his association. As mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, a devotee may appear to be sudurachara, meaning not well behaved in the beginning, but he should be accepted as pure because he is on the right path. This is due to the prophylactic nature of the Lord's association. The Lord is also a papa vidam because sin cannot touch him. Even if he acts in a way that appears to be sinful, such actions are all good, for there is no question of his being affected by sin. Because in all circumstances, he is Shuddha, most purified. And then Prabhupada, he's compared to the sun. So that's nice. Next, the sun extracts moisture from many untouchable places on the earth, yet it remains pure. In fact, it purifies obnoxious things by virtue of its sterilizing power. If the sun, which is a material object, is so powerful, then we can hardly begin to imagine the purifying strength of the all-powerful Lord. So, like this, Prabhupada explains to us, or Ishopanishad explains to us, the nature of the Supreme Lord, that he is without sin, and rather he purifies the sinful places. Sinful people who come to Krishna become purified. You know that story about the thief who came? He heard that Krishna's got many jewels. He heard, some thief was hearing that there's a young boy in Vrindavan, his name is Krishna, and he wears many jewels. He's got all ornaments and different jewelry, valuable jewels. So the thief thought, I will go there and steal them. So he came to Krishna with the intention of stealing them. And he met Krishna, he actually met Krishna, and he was talking, making friends with Krishna. And then he asked Krishna, so can I take some of your jewels? And then Krishna, oh, my mother Yashoda will get angry. Krishna was playing with her and teaching her. But gradually, because the thief was associating with Krishna, he became purified and he forgot about stealing Krishna's jewels. And he became a devotee. So there are many, and there's another Leela, one demon. Krishna killed the demon, and the huge body, and they cut up the body, and then they burned the body, and it had a beautiful smell. Remember? It was smelling like a guru or something. Which demon was that? Huh? Putana? Putana, I wasn't sure. Either Putana or Aga. Maybe it's Putana, yeah. It could be. Yeah, because she assumed a huge farm, and the people were like, how did this huge farm come? They chopped the farm up and burned it. It had a nice smell because she'd been purified by contact with Krishna. Krishna had taken her breast milk. Any other examples how Krishna purifies?
When you chant the holy name.
Yeah, of course. When you chant the holy name, you get purified, right? If you chant the holy name, if you chant properly, even you chant for a little while. One devotee was talking, he said there was this one man came to the temple, one boy, he was like really mental problem, Down syndrome or something, really backward, really, not in normal healthy condition. And he was, he said apparently he'd been sleeping with his mother had to take care of him like a baby, even when he's like 15 years old. He's still like a little child. Some children have that problem, But once he started coming to the temple and just sitting in the temple, just being in the temple and hearing the kirtan, although it was so mentally incapacitated, but just the power of the holy name and being there in the temple and hearing the kirtan, that after a few months, he's much better, really had a great, powerful effect on him, helped him a lot. So even where medicine cannot do anything, where even, it seems a hopeless case, the holy name is so powerful. If people are exposed to it, it purifies them. Any other examples? Of course, besides the holy name, Prasadam. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, people eat prasadam. It certainly has an effect. People eat prasadam. It really, it works. If people eat that prasadam, it does have some effect on them. They change. Any other thing?
Just to link with the prasadam, the friends at university, what happened is they were very interested in Krishna consciousness, but they went on holiday. That a friend of a friend actually telling me about it. And so what happened was their aunt was actually a disciple of Prabhupada, like that. So every time they were there, at home, they'd always have to have prasad, like that. Now one of their favourite meals was some type of meat dish. I can't remember what it was specifically, maybe some sort of Chinese dish. So they came back from holiday, they had so much prasad, they came back from holiday, they were thinking, thank God, I'm back in England, now I can have my favourite meat dish. They tasted the meat dish and they spat it out. They couldn't stand it. It was disgusting. Yeah, they couldn't stand it. Nasty because of the power of prasad. So then what happened is, they basically became, pescatarian, which is a step up.
Okay. Yes, Prabhu?
Prabhu Bhattacharya, by contact with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he changed his point of view and he adopted the Vaishnava on the temple.
Yeah, good. Very nice example. Yeah. He said, before I was tasting the bitter fruit of, what was that bitter fruit? Some bitter fruit. Huh? I don't know, but it's some bitter. He said, I was in my Mayapur speculations, I was just tasting the bitter fruit of neem or something, but now I'm relishing the sweet nectar of the chanting of the holy name, and the ocean of bliss, and, it said before I was like a crow, and now you're like a swan.
Nalakubera Manigriva. Nalakubera.
Oh, Nalakubera Manigriva became purified.
After they were delivered from the tree.
How did they get purified?
They got started Arjuna tree.
That was their punishment, huh?
Yeah. So when the trees were fall down, they pray to the God and God delivered them and go back home to the world.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure when we think about it, there are many examples. I don't know about you, but I know myself. My God, my life has changed so much since I become a devotee. Before I was a devotee, so many bad habits. But just by being a devotee, you get disgusting, horrible. Even you have to look at the food which people are eating. You think, how did they eat this? It's just so horrible. It looks so terrible. You wonder how they can eat it. Reading Srila Prabhupada's books. What happened?
One becomes purified. Pain of life comes. There is many stories like that.
Yeah. Stop reading the newspapers. Stop watching television. Just read Prabhupada's book. Become addicted to Prabhupada's book. Okay. So like this, Krishna is apapavidam. He purifies. In contact with Krishna, even sinful people, even people, Bhagavad Gita say, apichat sudaracharo. Even if you're the most sinful person, but you can cross over the ocean of material existence because you're still remembering Krishna. There were wives of other persons. So how is it so? The answer was given, Krishna cannot be contaminated. Rather, anything comes to Krishna, even with contaminated mind, becomes purified. The gopis had some lusty desire, but they became purified. Kubja, She had lusty desires. She also got purified. Of course, the gopis are not ordinary women. They were in their spiritual bodies associating with Krishna. Yeah?
Sometimes I hear an explanation that Radha and Krishna are one, therefore it's not sinful. You heard that? Could you comment on that?
Radha and Krishna are one?
So it's not sinful. Could you comment?
Well, you could explain it like you could say like that. Radha and Krishna are one, but they separated themselves eternally. The real thing is that these topics are not really meant for discussion with new devotees. That people should be a little more, they should be given an opportunity to cultivate more faith in Krishna and to understand Krishna's position. That's why these things come in the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. After you've understood Krishna and you've understood more of his inconceivable powers and his potencies, his different activities, then you're ready to hear about his confidential activities. Not prematurely. We shouldn't try to jump into these things. So we discourage people from trying to understand these things until they're properly qualified. First, understand Krishna. Understand his energy. Understand how he creates. Read through all of these things. Then hear about Krishna. Don't jump up to these things. Anyway, Prabhupada gave a nice example. The sun even goes in the dirty place. The sun will shine even in the toilet, right? The outhouse, the stool house. We don't want to go in there. Oh, I don't want to go in that place. It'll get contaminated. But the sun will go there, and the sun will purify the place. So Krishna is like the sun. Krishna Surya Sam. Krishna is like the sun, right? Wherever there is Krishna, there is no Maya. So this is the fun. Krishna is apapa vidam. Sin cannot touch him. But rather, sinful things become purified when they contact Krishna. We say Krishna is Krishna, apapa vidam. He cannot be attacked by any sinful reaction. But a living entity may be subjected sometimes because he is small. I'm talking here about a spiritual master has to accept disciples. Now, Lord Chaitanya cautions, don't accept many disciples because very risky, very dangerous and troublesome. But Prabhupada says, for the sake of preaching, we have to do it to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. The spiritual master will accept that risk. Spiritual master will accept that risk of accepting disciples. He will accept and he will be responsible for their sins. Now Krishna, he can accept sins and he can purify them. But it's not easy for a spiritual master to accept the sins. How many sins can he accept before he will be affected by these things? So this should be understood. Krishna can do it. He's not going to get affected. A spiritual master has to be very, very powerful in order to accept the sinful reactions of others. We can't see it now, but the example was given that if you have a fire, if it's just a small fire, and you put a big object on it, what will happen? Fire will go out. Yeah. If you have a big fire and you put little objects on it, not a problem. But if you have a little fire with a big object, you can put out the fire. So in the same way, the spiritual master He can accept, he can accept some sins. But if he accepts too many sins, more and more sins, then it becomes affected. Can be affected. So, like this, we caution everyone, both as disciples and as spiritual masters, to be very careful. Not to be sinful, to avoid sins. Okay? Big fire can consume anything. Oh, we should all take initiation from Krishna. Yes, well, spiritual masters wants to connect us to Krishna. Okay, this was a conversation in Mayapur. So we have to understand that. We cannot imitate Krishna. Don't try to most purified. Okay. The sun extracts moisture from untouchable places, remains pure. Purifies obnoxious things by virtue of its sterilizing power. So like that, this is some of the main points from these verses. So mantra 8, we said it's the vision of the Supreme Lord, how he sees the different qualities of the Lord. The Lord is described here, unembodied. Does he have a body? Well, people may say, oh, unembodied. You see, you worship a God who has a body. But it says here, God is unembodied. What is the meaning of that? No material body. Has a body, but no material body. Not a body like our body. And then, it's also mentioned, omniscient. Meaning what? Omniscient means? He knows everything. He knows all phases of time, past, present, future. He knows everything about everyone. Why?
He's the oldest.
Huh? He's the oldest, that's one reason. Why does he know everything?
It's in the heart.
It's in the heart, it's everywhere, it's in everything. It's omnipresent as well. So he knows everything. He knows my pains and pleasures. He knows all your pains and pleasures. He knows everything because he's everywhere. He's beyond reproach. What does that mean? Beyond reproach. If somebody's beyond reproach, what does that mean?
You understand? You can't correct them. You can't.
Yeah, you can't say, oh, you're doing this wrong, you shouldn't do this, it's not. Yeah, it's beyond reproach. You can't restrict him in any way. He can do whatever he wants. It's not under any control then. He is the controller. He sets the law. So he's beyond reproach. Without veins. He's without veins? What? Well, he doesn't have a body anyway, so he doesn't need any veins, does he? Right? So yeah, what's his body made of? Huh? His body is Satchidananda from Brahma Samhita, right? He has a body of eternity, bliss and knowledge. Okay, without veins, pure and uncontaminated. He's not going to get contaminated. Even some contaminated person comes, oh, don't touch me, you're contaminated. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna purifies. Oh, maybe, so we'll think, oh, okay, I don't need to take a bath, I can go and do the puja on the altar, right? I don't need to bathe. I don't need to put on clean dhoti because Krishna will purify me. Is that right? No. We have to have the right attitude in giving service to Krishna. Krishna can purify, but we don't want to take advantage of Krishna's mercy. So he's not contaminated. He's a self-sufficient philosopher, fulfilling everyone's desires since time immemorial. So this is how the Mahabhagavad sees the Lord. Okay, so we'll stop there today. We've been speaking. Yeah?
I was wondering why Krishna's body is blue.
Why Krishna's body is blue? Well, it's not blue as we think of blue. It's not
Blackish.
we have our own conditioning, what we think, this color, that color, We have to understand Krishna's complexion. It's said to be like the monsoon cloud. But it's all attractive. That we have to remember. Why is it blue? Why? It's attractive. Nature that he appears in. It's not always blue. He comes to follow around in white. He comes in different colors.
So there is no particular reason only because he wants someone to attract.
Yeah.
I mean, only his body is unique color for only his body. In spiritual world, there is no one with the same color.
Well, there are devotees who have the same color. You can have Swarupya Mukti. I mean, you have the same physical features as the Lord. Uddhava has a similar complexion to Krishna. When Uddhava came to Vrindavan, the gopis were looking at Uddhava. You could tell immediately he looked so much like Krishna.
I heard that his body is blue because the dress of Srimati Radharani is blue. And her dress is blue because his body is blue.
Yeah, okay. So, like that, maybe.
And he has yellow dhoti because her body is golden and the opposite also.
Well, we know why Lord Chaitanya is golden, because Lord Chaitanya is in the mood of Radharani. And Radharani's complexion was golden. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes golden. Why is he blue? I don't know.
Yes, Lord, another description of the Lord is that the rivers, the seas are the veins of the Lord. But here they said the Lord has no veins. The rivers.
Oh, the rivers are like veins on the body. That's talking about the Virata form of the Lord, the universal form. We say the rivers are like the veins on the body of the Lord. Right. So in the Virata Rup we can imagine these things. But that Virata Rup is it's an imaginary form of the Lord. It's not the actual form of the Lord. It's material form also. Yeah. The Virata Rup is material. It's to help materialistic people understand that there's some being, some supreme behind the creation. So we spoke about some different things today. We mentioned first of all Tad Dure Tad Vantike, meaning far away, nearest realm, right? Far away for who? For the non-devotees is far away, but it can be very near for the devotees. When we have love for the Lord, we can feel, we will see the Lord. He's very near. He's with us. Then we spoke also about guna, saguna, and nirguna. Saguna means with qualities, and nirguna means without qualities. Okay, different. So, and the deity, how do we, is the deity saguna or nirguna? Yeah, is Krishna nirguna or saguna? Krishna's both. He can be both. Because Krishna can be everything. And so then we spoke also about that oneness, the ekatvam anupashyata. The real oneness means? To be the servant. We must have that mode of being the servant. That is real oneness. When we have that mode of being servant.
Everyone has one desire.
Yeah?
To serve Krishna.
Okay, oneness in desire. Then one desire for the service of Krishna. Yes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, we're Jiva Swarupahai Nitya Krishna Das. We're all the servants. So that is real oneness, when we all have the mood of being the servants of the Lord. And then finally we spoke about this apapa vidam, that sin cannot touch him. That Krishna purifies even the sinful. the contaminated things. We all, just by contacting Krishna, we become purified. What is the example we give? Just like the iron rod, you put it in a fire. The steel rod, the heavy metal rod, it goes in the fire. You leave it in the fire, it becomes fire. It will become just like fire. It will have all the qualities of the heat and the light that can burn. So in the same way, anybody in contact with Krishna, we also become Krishna eyes. Right? What is the verse to support this? You would quote? Anybody know? What verse you would quote? I was thinking, Atashi Krishna Namati Deva Loki Jivado. Yeah, when we use our senses in the service of the Supreme, then we become purified. And that service begins with the tongue, right? We use the tongue to chant the holy name, to take prasadam, these two activities, In this way we become Krishna eyes, we become closer to Krishna. Okay, so 4 and 5 are speaking about the Lord and His inconceivable powers, and we want to understand that there are qualities, that there's a person there, personal characteristics are indicated. It speaks about Him having an abode, He has a place, and He can move, He can overcome, He can walk, he's far away, He's near as well. All of these things to show us that He's a person, but He's not a person as we know people. He has inconceivable powers. And then mantras 6 and 7 are speaking about the Maha-Bhagavat devotee. How does the Maha-Bhagavat see everybody? Sees everyone as? Yes. Does he see somebody as a friend, someone as an enemy? How does he see them all? He sees them all as servants of Krishna. He sees everybody as a servant. He doesn't say, oh, he's my friend, he's my enemy. No, he sees that everyone is the servant of Krishna. That is Mahabhagwan.
Now, if the demons is servants of Krishna, are they also servants?
Yes. How are the demons also? What are the demons doing?
Contact from the Lord. Entertainment from the Lord.
Well, not all the demons are entertained. There are a few special ones. Krishna comes to fight with them, but not all the demons are entertainment for the Lord.
Maybe they just maintain the material world.
Well, he sees, they're doing their thing, they're following their own, they have their own karma, they have their desires, and he sees this is also the plan of Krishna, that they have their own activities, their activities are not, they're serving Maya, they're serving Krishna through the material energy, through the illusion. But he sees them also, they're also servants of Krishna. But they're serving Maya. Like the people in the prison, they're also citizens. But they're in the prison, they're forced to work. They're under the punishment. And so the demon, Mahabhagavad sees everybody equally. He doesn't preach, because he thinks they're already serving Krishna. So he's not going to preach to them. And that's the Uttama Adhikaris. But we shouldn't try to be Uttama Adhikaris, we should be Madhyam. Right? Madhyam means we preach. And Madhyams are also able to see that oneness, they see all living entities as parts and parcels of the Supreme Ekatvam. So this is real oneness, serving the interests of the Supreme.
Right? Because the difference is we are saying we should not be commanded. You are saying that we should not be Uttama.
We should not imitate Uttama. Should not imitate Uttama. Because Uttama doesn't preach.
Uttama doesn't preach.
No, an Uttama Adhikari. The Uttama Adhikari doesn't preach because he thinks everybody's already engaged in serving Krishna. We have to come to the we should be on the Madhyam stage. Means make distinction where to preach and who to preach to. Right? Is it clear? Yeah? We don't want to be the Uttama just does bhajan. That's the Babajis in Radha Kund. They're just doing the bhajan, they don't preach, usually. But our society is for preaching. It's for Madhyam Adhikari. We make distinction. We look for the innocent. We try to give them Krishna consciousness. And we avoid this. Okay? Any other question? Okay, so thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?